Yo, what's going on guys, Arekkz here, welcome back to another Destiny 2 video, and in this video I thought I'd put together a quick guide to run you guys through the necessary steps in order to unlock and complete the weapon forging process. This is of course something new in the Curse of Osiris DLC. Within the Lighthouse is a weapon forge, and you can take lost profits and verses here and turn them into one of the 11 Vex/Osiris themed weapons. Now the information we've had up until this point indicates that this is something you do post-campaign, and while that is technically speaking true, there are some additional things you'll need to do on top of that. So I figured in this video I would go over everything you need to know to unlock the forging process and of course complete the weapons and the verses. So if you do enjoy this, you do find it helpful, then a like would be super appreciated. Comment down below if you have any questions, but to begin with, as mentioned, the very first thing you will need to do is complete the campaign. It's not too long, so you can blitz through that relatively quickly, and then upon completing the campaign, you then unlock the ability to do adventures on Mercury. Basically, once you complete the campaign, the map will populate with all the usual things you would expect on a patrol zone, lost sectors, regional chests, adventures, etc. So the first thing you need to do is complete the 3 basic adventures. There are 3 normal difficulty ones, and then after that you will unlock the heroic versions. So complete those ones back to back. Each time you complete an adventure, you typically return to Brother Vance and then go and pick up the next one. Each one will take you into the Infinite Forest and then lead you off to a different time period. So you'll work your way through the past, present and future. And then once you've done those 3, you will return to Brother Vance, and the first thing you get is a free legendary engram, which is kind of nice. And then upon collecting that, you will then be presented with 3 heroic adventures. Now it's worth noting these are heroic versions of the adventures you just did, so largely they are going to be the same. They do change a little bit towards the end, some of the encounters are slightly different, sometimes there's like an additional bit at the end of it, but basically they are heroic versions of the adventures you just did. They have a modifier, they have that rotating element, so you want to try and make sure you have some decent coverage. They're slightly higher power level, but ultimately, again, it is just the adventures you did before. So, the first time you return to Brother Vance, after this, you'll need to pick one of these adventures. It does not matter which one you do, because once you pick the first one and completed it, you can then go back and do the second and the third. So basically, grab one of the 3 adventures, go off and complete it, and then once you've completed your first heroic adventure, you return to Brother Vance once more, and this is the point where you can begin the step towards forging your first weapon. Once you return to him after your first heroic adventure, you will be able to collect the Lost Prophet verse 1. This is for the scout rifle, and this basically begins the weapon forging process. Once you collect the item, if you go and inspect it in your inventory, you can actually go and see what item you'll need, and it will tell you where you can get it from. In the case of this one, you need 1 concentrated Radiolarian culture, which is made by combining 10 standard Radiolarian cultures. So they're basically the green ones and they turn into the blue one. You get the standard Radiolarian culture from completing public events. Now the drop rate for this seems to be 1 every 2 public events. I ran this with the fire team and we all basically got them alternately, so I would essentially get 1 every time we did a second public event. So with that in mind, you're basically looking at about 20 events to get the 10 you need. Once you've done that, you then return to Brother Vance and you then take the 10 that you have and convert them into the 1 concentrated Radiolarian culture with of course some shards on top. And you then return to your inventory, you use that item, and that will then go into the verse 1. And that will then complete that item. You then return that to Brother Vance. That will essentially then finish up that quest portion, and once you've done that, you can then take it over to the forge, located over here, and you can forge your weapon. Now bear in mind, for the very first one, you are forced to follow this path. You will grab weapon verse 1, you will go through and of course get your Radiolarian culture, but once you have crafted or forged your first weapon, you can then return to Brother Vance and he will then present you with 3 additional verses. Verses 3, 4 and 6, if memory serves me correctly. You can again pick anyone you want. I'm not entirely sure at this stage whether there is a lockout on a weekly basis, whether these are the only 3 we can get this week, or whether once you complete those ones you can just continue and get all of them until you've done 11. That much I will still have to find out, but bear in mind the requirements are a little bit higher next time. The very first one, your introductory item, only required 1 of the concentrated Radiolarian culture. Meanwhile, the second one that I picked up requires 3, so you're basically looking at essentially 30 standard Radiolarian cultures, which is probably going to be about 60 public events. So it's quite a big grind. They're not something you're necessarily going to get too quickly, but that is basically how the process works. So in summary, complete the campaign, complete your basic adventures, do your first heroic adventure, and you can then begin the forging process. So that's what you need to know. If you guys have any more questions, by all means, drop them in the comments down below. I do plan to go through and get the rest of the weapons, so if I do find any especially good ones, I will be sure to let you guys know. But until then, keep it locked. There is plenty more Curse of Osiris videos coming your way very soon. And thanks for watching. Take it easy. Catch you next time. Peace out.